Yeah, right.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the round 6 wrap up. It's me and Rob. Rob is trying to get himself sorted centrally.
Sorted,
There
yeah,
we go. There we go. That's right.
There we go.
We were just talking about our tips, but how's everyone doing? How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. Hopefully I'm loud enough.
No, that's fine. Sounds really good. Coming
That's
through
fine.
good.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
doing great. Another win, top of the league, undefeated.
it's true, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, what I was going to say, I said I'll tell Rob what I did. I got 5 out of 10 because I changed my tips last night. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, everyone has tipped Aston Villa. I go, I'm going to tip Chelsea to try get one the other way, and I tipped Chelsea, and then what do you know? They get a red card. And
Didn't
lose at
Reeves
home.
do that as well? I thought
Yeah,
Reeves
maybe he might have. So, listen, we're obviously going to talk about them, but yeah, it's been a big week. We can start off we start off with your boys because I think they were the first game. Oh no, they weren't. I'll bring up the results anyway. I'll bring up the results. So, Man City, they won 2-0. It was looking all peaches and cream, Rob, and then
it was smooth.
Rodri.
Could have been 6 or 7. Then all of a sudden, Rodri.
Well, I watched it back, right? And listen, the guy did. It was a delayed reaction, but he didn't need to put his hands up there, did he? I mean, last year everyone was saying when it happened to
Casemiro, yeah,
you could tell that he wasn't. Casemiro wasn't trying to hurt the guy, but he had his hands up there. So, and you think, two really experienced players both made the same sort of mistake within a year. But he just shouldn't have done it, should he? Yeah. So what did you take on the game then?
Well, I was in happy mode because it looked like it was all one-way traffic, and I thought we had the creativity just to, and Haaland was 7-1 to score a hat-trick, and I thought, you know what, you actually might get it.
Shit, 7-1 for a hat-trick. That's what we've come to.
And you know what? Not Forest. We're 16-1 for a win, and 8-1 for a draw. And when I saw the red card, I'm thinking, you know what?
Yeah.
If anyone put money on this, it's going to be close. But
I know what you mean.
The good thing is, Man City got to defend, so they haven't had much. It's a good little learning exercise, if you like.
Yeah, well, what I took from it was, like you said, they were obviously, it looked like it was going to be a slaughterhouse, like another game that we saw over the week, which we'll talk about. But yeah, it looked like it was going to be something like that. And then obviously, you go down and man, it's what I took from it was if Nottingham Forest, when the game started, what they did is I saw them take kickoff and then they just went back behind their own halfway line.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
So, if they didn't do that in hindsight and actually went at Man City, when Man City end up getting a red card, it might be a completely different game. The fact that they'd sat back and conceded 2 goals and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like, I think you got to go at City. You have to go at them if you want. You can't just kick the ball, whereas we know Guardiola's way is the total football way, and it's the Cruyff way. He wants possession. And if you kick the ball and then go sit behind your halfway line, you're done. Whether you like him, you don't dislike him, whatever. If you do that to one of his teams, you're finished because that's how he wants you to be. He wants you to sit back so he can just kill you with 1,000 cuts. And it makes me think, if in hindsight they just went at Man City in the first half, it could have been 0-0, and then Rodri gets a red card, and it could be a completely different game. But I don't know.
You notice that with another game like Bournemouth and Aston Villa, West Ham, they all exactly what you were doing, what you're saying. They had a go. Yeah. Bournemouth went 1-0 up. If they would have, any one of those teams would have, Aston Villa proved it.
Yeah.
The opposite team gets a red card. Hang on, we're just going to keep playing the way we are.
Exactly.
With overload, and we might get the result. And in Aston Villa's case, they did.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So I mean, not much more to say on City, really. I mean, 6 games, 6 wins. Well, I'm not going to say it was hard because they were 2-0 up, but we'll see their fixtures coming up. But yeah, it was they did what they had to do, didn't they? And
there's a League Cup.
They've got a lot of
round
injuries.
midweek.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so I think you guys got Newcastle actually. So you got one of the finalists, and we've got Palace. But we'll talk about it. Both Manchester clubs have got a lot of injuries. Both of them have. It's weird. I don't know what's going on over there in Manchester, but both have a lot of injuries. So Guardiola even joked in his press conference. He goes, "I might get a game in the League Cup." He goes, "Because we're just struggling with players." So
he needs to rest. He needs to put in a completely second string team against Newcastle. I wouldn't be fussed if we lose that.
Well, that's not the same I was saying about United. He needs to put a second string team in Ten Hag, but the problem is at the moment he's got no Luke Shaw, no Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Varane only came back for 10 minutes. He's got no midfield. He's got injuries everywhere. Like Mount's out. Obviously the problems with Anthony and Sancho, all that. He's got, almost 10 players out, and he's got a League Cup game. Oh, I'll be giving some kids a go. That would be me, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So I'll bring up another set of the results. The next two games were 2 draws that night. So we had Luton got some points against Wolves, and Fulham, I think, was one of the first 0-0s of the year. So, I mean,
I backed the home teams in both of these to get up by a goal.
So did I. Yeah.
I really thought they were going to do it.
Well, the way I see it with Luton is they got a draw at home, but I mean, if you can't beat a relegation, like one of your relegation battling teams at home, I think the nail's in the coffin for them. If they can't get the win against, the likes of Wolves, Everton, Sheffield United at home, where are they going to get wins? It's for them, this should have been, I don't know, you could speak more from a coaching point. If I was the coach, I would have been like, listen, this is the grand final today. This is your FA Cup final. Now, this is one of them. We're going to have 5 or 6 of them this year. This is one of them at home. But
let's go out there and get the 3 points. Do something for the fans, and if you haven't won, you better be near death.
Yeah,
because that's how important this game is.
Yeah, absolutely. Zakal says hi, KP and Rob. Everyone on the chat. Big man Chris says hey. How's everyone doing? Hey, Chris. Talking about Wolves, actually, I was going to say, so I forgot to ask. It reminded me about City. What did you think of Núñez that's gone from Wolves to City?
He looked good. He
obviously started the game. Yeah, I liked it. I thought he looked good.
He looked the goods. I was suitably impressed. I think City have a very good backup team.
Yeah.
At the moment, because we've still got the likes of, there's this young kid called Oscar Bob.
Yeah.
Got Sergio Gomez, a left fullback. You've got Rico
Lewis. Rico Lewis, yeah, he's good.
And they're young as well. So not to mention all the injuries, but
well, it's funny. Like they got Núñez from Wolves, and it always as a United fan, we always hear it when United are in for someone that's from Wolves or something. The media are always like, oh, why do they want someone from a lesser team? But look at Man City; they go buy Núñez from a team that's in relegation, but doesn't mean he's not a good footballer, does it?
it's
a stepping stone. There's stepping stones, aren't there? Yeah.
And if they stand out in an ordinary team against good opposition,
yes, that's right.
Ruben Neves is another one, for example.
Yeah.
I think he's gone to Saudi Arabia.
He went. No, I think he killed himself with that. That was when I heard that. I could not believe that.
He's high quality.
Yeah,
and he would have been a good pickup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the other one, listen, I was only watching Goal Rush, but like we said, was Crystal Palace Fulham. So I was watching Goal Rush, didn't get to see anything really because obviously there was no goal. But
I saw the 20-minute version, almost fell asleep.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah, so I mean, again, like Palace will be thinking if they can't win, they want to win that game, Fulham at home, wouldn't they?
Yep.
And they got Man United back to back now in the League Cup, and I think they're at Old Trafford like in 4 days, like twice in 4 days. So you think they want to win that. Like United aren't pulling up any trees, but you still go on Old Trafford in the league next.
Oh yeah, United will win that. I had no doubts they'll beat Burnley. But we'll get to that game.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about it definitely. I mean, I was saying that to John today. I was saying I think now, I said, you look at the squad United put out. I said that they just had to get the points. I said, you watch. They'll start getting the results now with players coming back. It'll just happen. But yeah, so that takes us on to the next day, which was all of them. We may as well talk about it. And we talk about, so United got the win at Burnley, which was 1-0. It was actually what I thought it would be goal of the month, I reckon. The goal was, Bruno's goal was a cracker. Like it wasn't it was a cracker.
Contender for goal of the year, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't quite, I said this when it happened, I said it wasn't quite as good as that one that Van Persie scored from Rooney's long ball, back in 20, but it was very similar to that, a bit like Tim Cahill's goal in the World Cup. It was one of those sort of,
it was
great goal, captain's goal as well. And listen, I say this, when you're going out, you're starting with Hannibal Mabry, Johnny Evans, you got, Delot, Reguilon, because Wan-Bissaka and Shaw are injured, McTominay started in midfield because Amrabat wasn't ready yet. Bruno was out wide. Like, the result was the main thing, and they got the result. I think now, Mount can come in, do a job on the wing, I think. Amrabat's going to come in, get some game time. Rafael Varane came back. Martinez was injured as well. It sort of looks, if you add Martinez, Varane, Amrabat, I don't know, and Luke Shaw to that team, I think it's 3-4-0, not just a 1-0. So I think United will start getting results now. I think the result was just the main thing, and so
I think so too. And kudos to Johnny Evans. I thought he played really well.
He did, not just setting up the goal. He scored a goal that got disallowed that I thought was a bit.
Yeah.
I would be upset if I got a goal disallowed like that. And he played well defensively. He's realised he's not the quickest anymore. Got to be a bit quick up here. So yeah, that's. I don't know. Listen, I don't know where it puts. Yeah, it was his assist. I don't know where it puts Burnley. Like I think I said this to you. I said thought they were going to do well in my predictions, but I said last week. I said I think I've changed that. I think all three promoted teams are going to go down. The way they're going, they're going to get a result anywhere, Burnley, which is good.
And look, and my prediction about Chelsea, they're 14th, for heaven's sake.
I know. Listen, we'll get on to that.
They've got quality in that team.
I know. It's funny, you look at them, and it's like, when you look at them, you break it down, you think the whole thing is a shambles. Like, they don't even have a sponsor on their top, for God's sake, you know what I mean? Like, everything is like the whole club is a shambles. Like, when you actually look at it, like, no sponsor, the way they're playing, like, they've spent $700 million, and there's no way that squad is worth that much money.
No, it's not.
Like, how can you spend that much money? And no disrespect to him, but Jackson is starting every week. He can't buy a goal. Like, players that you just think, listen, they're not worth this money. Like, it's ridiculous. But we'll talk about them. But yeah, so United got the result, but that'll take us on to a few of the other ones. We'll talk about the North London derby. Big Chris said go Spurs there. So 2-2. What did you think of it, man? I watched it. I'll give my take on it. What did you think of it?
I just found I thought Arsenal was still the better team.
Yeah.
But their movement off the ball is still a bit more sharper. Spurs, they almost went into a last season mode and became reactive in that game. I think they're not there. They're not there yet.
Yeah.
But again, they got a point. So
yeah. What? Yeah, I know. I mean, what I took from it, I said it to Chris and John. I was like, listen, all credit to them for getting 2-2, but if that's me and I'm the manager of Arsenal, I'm ropeable that we didn't win that game. Because, I mean, Gabriel Jesus, he got the ball from James Maddison, who's on the 18-yard box. Instead of just slotting it in the corner, he tried to kill a pigeon. I don't like. That makes it 2-0. Like that, the dominance they had in the first half to not be winning. If Arteta's not upset about that, he's just lying or he's creaming. But yeah, listen, credit to Ange for getting the result, but they'll be so angry that they didn't win that, Arsenal. That's what I think, but they didn't. In the end, it says 2-2.
Yeah, well, that's
and Son has stood up as well since Kane's gone, I think. So
he scored another couple on the weekend.
Yeah, he's stood up as a goal scorer. I think now at the moment he's like they're like, yep, we need something from you. Didn't didn't score many last year, and he's put himself in the right positions. Like the first one was just a nice striker's finish. It was right there, bang, bottom corner. It's. But
I think he's settling in into that, without Harry Kane. So I think we're going to see a couple more hat tricks from Son this season.
Yeah, I think so. The one thing about it is, I'll say for Ange, I think next week, even though it's at home, we'll talk about it is a bigger team. He's got Liverpool next week.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way Liverpool press, the way Arsenal were pressing in that first half, and they almost, like I said, that one with Jesus, I think Liverpool will punish that. That's the difference. So, 2 big games in a row for Ange, which is, you want that as a manager, I guess. He's got North London derby, now Liverpool, that's 2 massive games. So, if he comes out of that without losing, I don't know what more to say about.
Put a statue outside White Hart Lane. Yeah. If the Matildas can lose 3 games and get statues.
Yeah, exactly. Zakal says, Chris C, have you tried the new Milo McFlurry? It's coming out Wednesday. Milo McFlurry, that'll be crazy. And he says the Wallabies lost to Wales 40-6 in the rugby union in the morning.
Damn it.
Well, what's 40-6 equivalent in soccer, Zakal? Is that like a 6, 7, 8? What is that?
That's a hammering.
In rugby union, don't know much about union, but that is a hammering, isn't it?
That's a hammering.
Well, the Wallabies, I mean, I know we're on a soccer show, but they haven't been good, I think, since they won the World Cup over 20 years ago, have they? So that's, poor Wallabies, but that is crazy. All right. We'll bring up some of the other results. So good on Ange getting that, but you spoke about this one earlier, so we'll talk about it. Brighton ended up winning 3-1, but like you said, Bournemouth actually went for them, and they were 1-0 up, weren't they? I think they went in 1-0 up at half-time.
This passing out from the back rubbish.
Oh, it was bad. That was bad what he did. Listen, I get it. I get you want to pass out from the back to retain possession, but if there's no one there,
but there were holes. There were holes further up the pitch. Just put it there.
I know. Just dink it into the midfield or something. It's not. I know it's crazy, but
did you see the own goal in Italy?
I don't know who. Was it the Inter game?
Oh, I can't remember.
No, it wasn't Inter. I read something about it this morning, I think.
Juventus.
Could have been. I read something about it this morning, about an own goal, yeah. I didn't see it, though. I didn't see it.
Oh, jeez.
Well, you know what? So, talking about own goals, I mentioned that to Chris today, and I forgot to say it, going back to the Tottenham game. Romero scores an own goal that was... I don't even know why he lifted his leg. The shot was nothing. Listen, I mean, I don't know. You're a defender. I don't know why he lifted his leg. It was silly. And then he gives away a penalty. Romero, this guy's won a World Cup.
But what's happening in the last, I'd say, 5, 10 years, 10, 15 years, is the coaching's focused on passing, penetration, movement off the ball. No one's focused on defending.
Yeah.
No one's focused on defending set pieces. If you would have seen Atletico Madrid's 2-3 goals against Real Madrid.
I saw the result. Yeah, I haven't seen the highlights yet. I want to watch it. Yeah.
6 yards out, Morata's got a free header.
Yeah, there you go.
Twice.
Yeah.
It just and the Newcastle loser game.
Sheffield United. Yeah. I saw that. And that was bad.
Defending is awful. Jeez,
well,
I don't get it.
The thing about Romero was the shot was a very tame shot from Saka, and it's like he decided in the last minute. He could have just in his head. He's got to know the keeper's going to save that, and it always brings me back to this thing. I saw Gary Neville was saying it. He goes, Peter Schmeichel always said to us he doesn't want us to flick our feet at shots because the deflection is going to make it harder for him. If they can beat him from 30 yards, so be it. Let him beat. But, you know, flicking your foot at a shot or something makes it worse for the keeper. You know, and he goes, if we would do it, he would tear our heads off. And I know not all keepers are going to want the same sort of thing, but, you know, he's one of the best to ever do it. You think that's smart.
And as an ex-defender and as a coach as well, I always ask the goalkeeper some of those basic questions. What do you want him to do?
Yeah.
Do you want him to try and block? Do you want him to jump at a wall to jump or stand still? Yeah. You make the call, because if it goes in, everyone's going to be looking at you.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. So, I mean, Listen, Ramiro's a better player. Now, I don't rate him as highly as everyone does, but he's definitely a better player than that. Like, it's just very silly things from him. But yeah. Back to the Brighton Bournemouth game. In the end, Brighton they got it. Matoma came off the bench, scored 2 goals, pretty much won the game for them. It's in the end it was straightforward, but they put themselves under a bit of pressure with stupid football at the back.
I mean, they had a European game as well, didn't they?
Yes, exactly.
So did Aston Villa and West Ham. So Brighton are the only ones to come out of that pretty much unscathed out of those 3.
Yeah, and they lost Brighton. Actually, it's so funny because Chris is a Spurs fan, but he's an AEK Athens fan because of his dad. And he goes, "Did AEK beat Brighton in England?" I'm like, "Yeah, they beat them.
Yeah,
3-2." So. Yeah. And I go, "It's not more." He goes to me, "Does that mean if they're good?" I said, "It's not so much that they're good." I said, "It's more. I think that Brighton have probably never seen AEK play. Never done anything. On any analysis to do with it, AX, so that probably caught him off guard, different type of football." But Chris says Romero was bad. Leroy says definitely. Ronald says hello, KP, and Chris is laughing. He says couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I saw AX won in England. But I see, that as it's when they play teams from lower European leagues. These sometimes the higher European league they struggle because it's a completely different type of football.
Go Nicosia.
Yeah, exactly. Ronald says, "Who he?" That's Rob. That is Dr. Laz. You've seen him. What do you mean, who he? It's a tripper. But yeah, so they end up getting it. But so the few more that night. The other one we can talk about is we'll talk about the 2 Merseyside clubs. Before we talk about Liverpool, maybe we'll try wait for Reborn. Yeah. I couldn't believe this. The other side of Merseyside won 3-1 at Brentford.
I had Brentford winning.
Yeah.
So Sean Dyche, don't know what you said to them, but mate, you got my Coach of the Week award.
Mate, if anyone picked that in their tips, they either didn't put their tips in or just...
Well, they put them round the wrong way.
Yeah, like when I saw, I was like, what has happened there? But credit to them.
Brentford were awful.
I think that happens though with teams like that, doesn't it? They've gone, round 6. The first 5 weeks, they've been really good.
Yeah.
It hits a wall, you know what I mean? And everyone was saying, they're not missing Tony, but eventually they were going to miss him, and there's a lot of talk at the moment saying that in January he might leave to somewhere like United or which I actually would, if I was United, I'd go for him. You could have him and Højlund up front, splitting it a bit, but those things happen. But I was shocked that Everton won. Good on them. That if they can win away from home like that, one or 2 wins like that, and then get their home record sorted out, yes. I don't think they'll go down. Especially with Luton not being able to beat, Sheffield United. We'll talk about like these other teams getting spanked at home. So
Burnley can't buy a point. I mean,
Burnley lost at home. Obviously, Sheffield United got annihilated at home, and Luton drew with a relegation battler at home. So Everton getting a win.
I watched the game. Luton had 4 or 5 chances to score. They lacked the finisher.
They say that. How many times have we heard that? It's like, if this team just had a striker, one of these teams coming up, and that's what I think helped Brentford all these times. They came up and they had Ivan Toney, who was playing for Brentford, scoring 20 plus goals in the league, and everyone was like, "Oh, where's that come from?" Which it's worth its weight in gold, isn't it? But
they say the 2 biggest positions you got to focus on first is a goal scorer and a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree, because I remember Alex Fer, I read it in his book. He said, a good goalkeeper wins you 12, 13 points in a year. And for a relegation team, and look at Arsenal now. We talked about them already, but there's a keeper there that, he finished second in the league last year and he's not playing now because Arteta has said, I think Ray is better, and he's went and got him, and it's whether he's better or not, I don't
know. Liverpool, West Ham, Alisson.
That save he made when it was 0-0 from the header, Suchek's header. We'll talk about it soon, mate. What a save!
This is the type of thing that wins you points.
Oh yeah, like I know he's excellent, Allison. Like I hate saying it because it's my biggest role, but he's really good. But yeah, that before we talk about Liverpool, we'll talk about the other one, which whether your team's winning or losing, this one makes everyone happy because Chelsea lose again at home. I mean, I know it's against a team that's going to do good this year, but man, they lost again, Rob. Like, they got a red card. Far out. What's going on there?
Look, they drew with Bournemouth 0-0 as well, remember?
Yeah, I know.
The other week. And it's like, they're just not playing. I fail to accept that Pochettino has got his tactics wrong. Fail to accept that.
No, I agree. I 100% agree with that.
I fail to accept that they have got a half decent team. I think Mudryk is actually far better than what he's been playing.
Oh, definitely.
He cut a pass through, which gave Jackson one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Most players don't even see that gap.
Yeah.
They're talking of offloading him in January.
I know they paid 100 million. Didn't they pay 100 million for him? What the hell?
He is a very good player.
Yeah,
he runs the show a bit for the Ukraine, him and Zinchenko, and Ukraine are doing okay. So it's not the player.
Yeah, I mean they say this about. I mean it's happened with players at United. Like I mean it happened with Donny van der Beek. Like a player doesn't come, and his season completely fall off a cliff like that. Like he's not just shit overnight. Something's gone wrong. Something's wrong. Like a player, that's playing in Champions Leagues and it doesn't just go crap overnight. Like it's, Ronald says, why did Ronaldo leave Man United? Is it a family problem or money? I would definitely say it was for the money because what he's getting. But and Zakal says it feels like 21, 22, Man City coming first and Liverpool coming second. And I think they're the biggest challengers, Zakal, to be honest. But we'll see.
Honestly, and we'll see what happens with all these injuries, Zakal, as well. Yeah. And the heavy schedule because we've got Man City have got they
got the Club World Cup this year, don't they?
Club World Cup in December as well.
If I was Pep, I know. Listen, you'd want to go into the Club World Cup, and even whoever you're playing, you still want to win it. But surely the first game, or I think it's 2 games, Man City could win with their second string team there. They're going to play teams that, until they have to play Boca Juniors or something, or whoever they got up. I don't know what the round is this year, like in the final. Like, surely you can have a bit of a rest. Like, God, but who knows? But yeah, Chelsea, I agree with you. I said this to you before we went on air. It seems like the whole club is just upside down. Like I said, even when you look at little things, like they don't even have a sponsor on their top. Like, they've spent 600 million and you got Thiago Silva still playing. I mean, listen, I know he's good, but you've got a 40-year-old playing centre-back when you've bought Badiashile, Caldwell, Fofana. I haven't even seen Lavia yet. Like, you got Fernandez. All these players, and it's like the squad looks like a mid-table squad. They're talking about now, because he's playing well for Mourinho, he's got Lukaku and Abraham there. There's huge talk saying that they're going to say to Mourinho, well, you keep Lukaku and we'll take Abraham back because they need a striker. But yeah, I mean, go back at Chelsea. Do they make the same mistake all the time? That it's like they think, this guy failed for us. Let's get him again. They did it with Lukaku. Now they're going to do it with Abraham. It's like, go get something new, man. Go. I don't know.
And they're both scoring for Roma, right?
Yeah. Well, that game he was there. He's got Lukaku, Abraham, and Dybala up front. That's a pretty good forward line, isn't it?
And he's got Mkhitaryan behind them.
Yeah.
But they're talking about Mourinho having third season syndrome, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, they won last week. They won 7-0. I don't know what they did this week, but listen.
Lukaku scored again. Oh, they won because they were in Europe as well. I think they won in Europe.
Listen, I know everyone gets on his case, man. I got on his case when he was Man United's manager, but he's one of the best managers I've ever seen. He knows what he's doing, so he'll sort it out.
But so is Pochettino.
Oh, so is Pochettino. He's excellent. He's
coached in the Premier League before. He's coached in, he coached PS. He knows what he's doing. They're not listening. They can't
I
be
mean,
listening.
he got to Champions League final with Spurs. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, listen, I know for those clubs, being a United fan, that with all this outside noise, with your owners and stuff, it must be hard for the players. It has to be. You can see it. Like,
The only thing I
but
can say is
geez,
Chelsea. The only reason they look like a team is because they're all wearing the same coloured shirt.
yeah, I know, 100%,
That's
100%.
it.
You know what? Even the goal, like they bought Sanchez. Fuck, man, I think I could have saved that goal. Oh, it was a tough, but right through his legs on an angle like that. That's the first bit. If
Oh,
he had just
it,
got down and put his leg down on the floor on the side, Ollie Watkins wouldn't have scored.
he pulled off two amazing saves.
Yeah,
And then the very basic thing we teach
yeah,
as a
yeah,
goalkeeper coach is when someone's on an angle, your feet got to be
yeah.
no further
I,
than this because there's no
I,
room.
exactly. I remember the way De Gea used to do it. He used to go down on his side like this and put his calf down along the floor. So then, he's like that.
Yeah,
There's nowhere, they can't go through his leg and they can't go here because he's
yeah,
on the side. I know he can't, but then his leg is like that on the floor. So if it
yeah,
goes on the floor, it just hits his calf, and he used to
yeah.
do that all the time. So I don't know why he stood like that with his legs open, because that's the only place you can go as a striker with the angle there, and it bit him in the ass really. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah. No,
that can take us. Yeah, it was
that was
crazy.
shocking.
It was
That was
and I
shocking.
mean, I think Silva, like I said, listen, he's been a great player, but the goal showed him up, because I think the guy got the ball and turned on him,
Mm.
and man, he could have walked away from Thiago Silva. He ran and the
This,
gap just was going like this.
this
And
is
I
the
was
thing.
going,
You can't
oh,
can't have him in. I'm sorry, but you can't
no,
have him in defence. He's just too slow.
no, no, I agree. You got, like you said, you got this Caldwell who had a great season with Brighton. There's all this hype about him. Put him
Mm.
centre back, bring in Badashiu or something. You paid 80 million for that for Fafana. You got all these young defenders. Listen, they might make mistakes in that, but they're going to be quick. They're going to press you. They're going to harass you. And they're
Yeah,
going to develop. They're going to develop. And Pochettino likes to. I don't know if maybe he's been told, listen, you've got to play Thiago because he's a. But I don't know. He's got to. He's got to. That's something where you think Mourinho would go like he did with Peter Cech when he was. It was like, and he did it with Casillas too. Mourinho, listen,
mm.
you're done. See you later. Have the nous as a manager and have the balls, so to speak, like we say,
Yeah,
to be able
yeah,
to drop that big player.
yeah.
Just because the club is done, big name player. Like we said, Mourinho did it with Casillas, and that was huge at the time. And then he did it with Petr Cech for Courtois, and in the end, it was the right thing, So, but in that'll bring us to the other Merseyside team. I'll bring it up. Liverpool, they went 1-0 down as
They
well.
did.
We spoke
They
about it.
did.
They ended up winning 3-1. But like I said, when it was 1-0, Allison made some big saves to keep it 0-0.
Yep.
Like we said, that it wins you points. If they had a different keeper in goal, I think they would have lost that game.
And they would
But
have been 3-0 down.
yeah, exactly. That save he made from Souček's header,
Yeah.
it was a la Peter Schmeichel, the way he got it and scooped it out. It was real good. But they end up winning 3-1. I mean, Reborn said to us in the Discord he was a bit worried about McAllister at 6 with Soberslai, and I think Curtis Jones started, but
Yeah.
they ended up doing it right. I actually agreed with him. I was like, you bought Endo for a reason, but you're not playing him, but it ended up working.
Yeah, he's only played 90 minutes, I think,
Yeah, something like that.
so
So,
far.
I
But
mean, the penalty,
Nunez's goal, mate, I tell you,
yeah, he's good. I like
this
him.
is what we said last season. Something's going to click with him,
Yeah, I
and he's
agree.
just going to start scoring, and I think
Yeah.
it's about to happen.
Even Salah's penalty, because I think he's missed a few lately. You saw him. He lined up, and he was like, I'm just going to smack it. So even if you go the right way, you're not getting it. And it,
Yeah.
got him back a bit of confidence from the penalty spot. But yeah, listen, I always said I would have loved Nunez to come to Man United, because as a striker, he gets into the positions, and that's 90% of it. Once you can sort out your finishing, and if he can become a cold finisher, he'll score goals like Haaland. He's because he's there all the time. So yeah, I mean, they end up winning. You know who I really think is hard done by for West Ham for England because of Southgate's antics is Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
He scored. How isn't he getting given a run in England? And, like Maguire hasn't played, he's playing. Calvin Phillips gets called up. You got this guy that's playing for West Ham, who was involved in their first ever trophy. He scored 5 goals already this year from the flank.
Yes.
He plays on the right. He's a left footer, cuts in, but he goes both ways. I mean, I think Moyes bought him for 8 million or something. Like, how that guy hasn't been given a go for England, is beyond me. But I think Moyes has sorted his team out this year.
Southgate was at the Man City Nottingham Forest game. I mean, why bother?
I know.
Why bother even turning up there, man?
Well, you know what makes me laugh about that? He's not going to pick anyone from Forest. Foden's in his squad. Foden's in his squad already.
Walker.
Calvin Phillips, if there wasn't a red card, wouldn't have come on. I don't care what Southgate says. Walker's borderline his captain. He's in his squad. John Stones is injured. So who are you looking at?
Grealish is injured.
Yeah, so who are you looking at? Go watch West Ham where James Ward-Prowse is playing.
Yeah. I was going to touch on him because when you've got a player for set pieces that can put the ball exactly where you need.
He's very good, yeah. He's very
good. You tell your teammates, you know what, you be there and the ball's going to be there, like a Paul Scholes or...
Yeah.
They'll be there. It's brilliant.
That's right. Well, he's scored, I think he's scored 4 goals already this year and he's got 6 assists or something. So... And 30 million they got him for, Rob. And we went and spent 50 on Mount.
And Arsenal spent how much on Havertz?
Yeah, and he's not even now. And Mikel Arteta has worked out what we all worked out. He's playing Vieira ahead of him. He can't even get in the team. So
it'll be interesting, by the way, because Germany sacked their coach.
Yeah, well, Nagelsmann took over, didn't he?
Nagelsmann took over, so we'll see what his. And because they haven't got any qualifiers.
Yeah, that's right.
He's got time to get them. Primed and ready. We'll see.
It's. I talk about that for a little bit. I know we said it's a Premier League show on that, but it's real interesting that Flick didn't do good, man, because his Bayern Munich team was marvellous. I mean, they won the treble and they were... they were so good attacking. How he didn't... I don't know what's going on there. If something's wrong with the mentality in there, I'm not sure. But... how he didn't do good there, but, these things can happen, can't they?
They can, and it just makes you wonder. They do so well, and then, all of a sudden, nothing can go right. 4-1 against Japan, they lost.
Yeah, I know, that's ridiculous. When I saw it, I was like, what? And listen, he's a big-name coach now that's going to be out of a job that, regardless of what happened with Germany, every time a manager's under pressure now, they're going to be talking about Hansi Flick, Zidane, Eric Ten Hag, and anyone that's going to be under pressure. They're going to be talking about. There's another manager there now that's. I mean, he's a European Cup winner, isn't he? So, he's going to be there available. So, but the next result that can take us over. I'll bring them up. The final result of the weekend. I mean, I've got it in the title. Newcastle hit Sheffield United 4-8. I mean, even your boy scored, Rob, and it was a nice goal too. To be fair, it was a nice finish.
It was, and he had a goal disallowed. He was offside.
Yeah.
Sepp Blatter once said, "There are no easy games in football."
Oh, right. Yeah, please. Well, you know what's funny?
Newcastle could have had 4 or 5 more.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what I think he's doing right there is what I was saying that I want United to do, with Tony, if they bought Ivan Toney and Højlund, they've got Wilson and Isaac, 2 blokes that can finish. And, he plays them together sometimes, plays one, and they both score. They're, Bruno Guimaraes is doing real good in the midfield. Gordon came on and did well.
The good news about that result for Newcastle is they had 8 different goal scorers.
Yeah, exactly. And they lost 3 games. They won last week, got back on track 1-0.
They drew with Milan 0-0.
Yeah, drew with Milan and then bang, 8, they got that 1-0. It's like I was saying about United. They got that result where they just needed a result just to get them going again, which,
But
credit to him.
Seriously, this is where a coach earns his stripes. The defending by Sheffield. After 20 minutes, if he would have just changed it to man marking.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Atrocious.
I mean, like, I have to admit, I really do like Bruno Guimaraes. Hopefully he gets more time for Brazil. Now, he's a real good player. I think Brazil will get the benefit of actually playing him. He's a real good footballer.
And they need something because in a friendly recently, Senegal put 4 past Brazil in Brazil.
Okay, there you go. Shit.
Beat them 4-2.
Far out.
Brazil won 2 of their World Cup qualifiers recently, international break.
Yeah.
They weren't that convincing, but in the lead up to it, they lost. Friendly or not, you don't let Senegal put 4 past you, but that's what happened.
Of course.
Sadio Mane was just all over it.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah.
Paul says, "G'day, Chris and KP. A caller phoned in to 5AA Radio KG and Cornsey Sports Show and said the Crows membership has gone up from 100. What, 100?
No, it's gone up by $100.
Oh, it's gone up $100 to $13.22 for 2 reserve seats. $100, that's a bit. And then Chris says, "Hey, Paul, let's."
I'm sorry. Let's talk finance for 1 second. That's about 8%
in 1 year.
In 1 year, inflation's already 6%, and everyone's getting pay rises of 2%, 3%. Electricity goes up 30%.
Yeah, I know. They can't justify any of it, Rob. They just do it. They just do it.
But I got a refund from my bank of $60 because they overcharged me 20 years ago. Work that one out.
There you go. So shouldn't that have been inflation? And how that $60 20 years ago could be worth a lot more now. Well, that was the last result. So Newcastle hammered them, but we'll bring up some of the fixtures. Or did Rob? Do you want to give Rob's red card of the week? I'll bring up the graphic.
I think there's a red card.
Here we go. Bring up Rob's red card. What is Rob's red card this week?
Listen, you overpaid, jumped up, no good for nothing, bloody players who lose control. You are role models. You don't lose control, not in public, not with 50 cameras on you, and not on $200,000-$300,000 a week. For all of you people sending bad messages to little kiddies, get off. Your time is up. Get off.
I did say to you before we go live, I said, I wonder if something to do with, he's a Man City player. I said, Rodri will be Rob's red card, and you said close. So there you go. He was, listen, the guy made a meal of it, but if someone touches your neck on the field, I agree. It was.
Can't do it. You're role models.
Yeah, don't do it.
These kids will pick up on it.
That's right. So, and especially when you're the most successful team in the world at the moment, everyone wants to be like these Man City players. You know what I mean?
How many people are watching the Premier League around the world? 200 million?
Mate, even if they could put a number on it, it's ridiculous. So, I agree. But Rob's red card is wild, Chrissy says. It absolutely is. But we'll go into some fixtures. So
next week.
Next week. This is a huge one, the first one. Aston Villa Brighton. That's massive. That's at Villa Park. And then there's a massive goal rush. There's Bournemouth, Arsenal, Everton, Luton. You think Everton, Man United, Palace, Newcastle, Burnley, West Ham, Sheffield United, Wolves, City. But Aston Villa, Brighton, Rob?
That's just tough. Game, that is just so tough to call.
You know what? I'm going to back Unai Emery. You know that? I'm going to back Unai
Emery. I think I'm going to back Unai Emery as well on this one. Brighton are due for just a slip.
Yep. I agree.
This is it.
Yep. I mean, Bournemouth, Arsenal, I think that's Everton, Luton. I mean, like I said, Everton got a win away from home. Now, you think Everton are going to go into that thinking we can get 6 points out of 6 now. This is big for us. And I think they're going to go into that hammer and tongs. They're going to beat Luton, I think, as well.
You know, I think, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Luton jag a 1-0 win.
Yeah, you just don't know with those teams, do you?
Not you really don't.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah, tough to call. Tough to
Yeah, I
call.
agree. I mean, then there's Man U Palace. Talking about Man United a bit, I think I know it only looked like a 1-0 win, but I think United are on the upward trajectory. I think you got Varane coming back in. Amrabat will start.
Yeah.
I think, Martinez will probably come back in. With that happening, I think United are on a bit of an upward trajectory. I think they should, do away with Palace, personally.
I think United will be 3 goals better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's a bit like Newcastle. They had that bit of a rough start for whatever reasons. No excuses for it, but I think they're both going to start settling a bit now.
It's first to put Liverpool to sleep on you, Chris.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, then we got Newcastle Burnley, and we talked about that already, didn't we, Rob? Burnley, I mean, they've got 1 point. They're going to a team that just scored 8, like at St. James Park.
This is the one. Okay, company lasting the season at this rate.
Yeah.
Company's in trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
And West Ham, Sheffield United.
Yeah, West Ham, Sheffield United, and Wolves City.
Yeah. City's second string team should be enough.
Yeah, I agree. And I think West Ham will win. Paul says, from now on, I'm getting all my financial and investment advice from Rob. Good idea. Good idea, Paul. Trust me. But that will take us on to the next day. So the one that Chris talked about, I want to talk about it for a bit, actually, this one. We'll talk about that first. So Spurs, Liverpool. I mean, like I said about it earlier, Ange, 2 big games in a row. And I mean, that's what you want as a manager. You got 2 all the way at the Emirates. I mean, can he get the job done at home against Liverpool?
This is going to be at least 4 goals in this game, at least.
Yeah, there's going to be goals.
It's just going to be right. Nunes is going to score. Son's going to score. It's just going to happen. I think could be one of those 4-all games.
It could be a massive game. That GT says Spurs will be the ones sleeping because the Liverpool fans are clapping back a bit now. But listen, I said it to Chris when I spoke to him. If he comes out of these 2 games and hasn't lost, Ange will be loving that. Obviously you want to win every game, but if he can come out of Arsenal and Liverpool and not lost, mate, he'd be happy with that. He'd be real happy with that.
This is a game. Reeves, whoever get to that game, I reckon.
Yeah, it would be a great game to watch, won't it? Because they both want to attack. They're both going to press.
Yeah.
I actually like, I didn't know much about him, the Tottenham keeper, the Italian lad. He's a good keeper. He's good. That's a good piece of business there by Ange, bringing him in. He's good with his feet. And the Dutch centre-back that you said, what's his name, Van de Ven, he's really good. It's left back, the Italian boy, he's only 20 years old, Udogi. So his starting lineup is good, I think. Beyond that, you had Richarlison on the bench, but I think other than that, Perisic, I think, is out for the year, they said last night. Oh, really? Yeah, I think so. They said, the comment was Perisic could be out for the year. And I don't know if they meant the calendar year or but even losing him for the calendar year is huge. So
yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
He comes on and delivers. I mean, he keeps delivering for his country as well. So
exactly. So that's hopefully he gets given some money in January. That's what Ange will be thinking. He'll be thinking, hopefully I can bring in a few more little things just to, fill up the squad a bit. Maybe someone a reserve for Madison, another striker, something like that.
He could go and buy Mudryk. Mudryk wouldn't even have to leave the city.
Could probably get him on loan, I would say. Get him on loan, see how he does.
Yep.
Childo says, "G'day, KP and Dr. Laz." Hello, Childo. What's happening?
G'day.
That's Chris Goff. How are you? So listen, at this stage, I'll probably tip Liverpool, but I'd rather Ange won. Put it that way. I'd rather Ange won. But we'll see. And then what do we got? We got Nottingham Forest, Brentford. I mean, at the City Ground.
This is one of those coaches you said earlier about. This is all out war. This is an FA Cup final for both. They both have to win this.
100%, I agree. That's what I'd be as a coach. Just tell them you got to go out and win. It's huge. I mean, and then the next one. I mean, is Fulham Chelsea. Who would ever be thinking there's a massive game for Chelsea going to Craven Cottage? But it is. It's huge, man.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ever think that would come into my vocabulary. You know, there's a massive game for Chelsea and Pochettino.
I just think there's going to be one of these games where Chelsea's going to win 4-0 and totally overrun. I just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Something Zakal says, that's what you meant.
I agree. KP, your team, Brisbane Broncos, play Penrith Panthers in the grand final. Yeah. My team actually won the SANFL grand final, so my dad will be happy. He came back in the country on Sunday, and they won for him, the Bays. He'll be happy about that. So, yeah, they beat John's team. They beat John's dad's team, Sturt. So my dad will be happy because I think Sturt have beaten the Bays in about 10 grand finals over in history. But yeah, so Tanner, that we've looked at everything. What's a tip of the week, Rob? If we bring up these fixtures, I always ask everyone to give a multi of the week. A multi of the week. What's Rob's multi of the week?
Multi of the week. Hang on, let me look at the fixtures. There we go. You need to pick something a little bit strange as well. So I'm going to go Villa, United, Newcastle, West Ham, and Spurs.
Oh, tell you what, if you get that, it'll pay big odds because even at home, I reckon Spurs will be paying about 260.
Yeah.
So that'll give it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me look at it. I'll bring it back up. I'm going to say, that was the result. So I'll bring up the fixtures. I'm going to do Villa, United, Nottingham Forest, and Fulham. 4 teams.
Yeah, that'll be a $2. Not Forest will be a $2 game as well.
So I'm going odds there. I mean,
would you say Fulham?
Yeah, I'm picking them against Chelsea. Listen, you know what? I feel for Pochettino because I actually like him. I think he's a good manager. But like I said now, there's going to be all this talk. The minute he gets another bad result, they're going to say, Flick's available. Like I said, Zidane is still there. All these names are going to start coming out. It's interesting. I heard today, apparently, PSG want to sell Dembele and they just bought him a month ago. So, I don't know. The world of soccer at the moment, the transfers...
But look what Cancelo and Felix are doing at Barca.
Exactly.
Just absolutely ripping it up.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder sometimes.
It does. Barca were 2-0 down in the 80th minute. They won 3-2.
Well, you know what? I do credit Guardiola for it. Whether Cancelo is a good player or not, something happened.
Yeah.
He stepped out of line with the manager, and it sort of brings me back to Alex Ferguson with Jaap Stam. Jaap Stam was arguably the best defender in the world at the time. Stepped out of line, and he said, I don't care who you are, you're gone. And Guardiola did it with Cancelo. I don't care who you are, you're gone, mate. And you know what? Credit to him, because we said it with the Sancho situation recently with Ten Hag. You don't mess with the manager. No player is bigger than the manager or the club.
No, that's it.
And these players have proved, okay, if you've made a mistake, you can still go somewhere else and revive your career as well. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
New challenge at Barcelona, he's playing well. There you go. Guy says, go United, Chelsea are Hess. They are. We got to give Guy, John couldn't come on tonight because his wife is actually due tomorrow. So, he's at home dealing with all that. So if that happens for John, we'll give you a preemptive congratulations. But yeah, Childo says Chelsea by 6 against Fulham. I don't know about that, but have they scored 6 goals all year? I don't think they have. But yeah, I mean, some big games. Paul says, how funny is this? Another caller to KG and Cornsey, 5AA. sports show said, I've stopped watching AFL because of all the errors the judges have made this year. I know heaps of people that have said that about the soccer with the VAR.
Look, and this...
I don't know how they keep getting things wrong.
And seriously, there was a couple of calls that referee called a penalty. It was clearly not. Went to VAR. How did the referee 5 yards away, 10 yards away, not even see that it was a clear, decent tackle? It beggars belief.
Yeah,
and then
I
this
agree.
armed and unnatural position.
Well, you're a defender. You're a defender, Rob. Tell me, who can tell you what's natural for you when you're sliding for a ball?
Look,
they don't know. They don't know what's natural for. I don't know what's natural for Rob. You don't know what's natural for KP when he's going for a ball.
This is about balance.
Yeah, of course it is.
Your arms are not by your side like some Irish tap dancer, for heaven's sake.
But that's unnatural, and every player knows that. And like I said, every human is different. What's natural for me could be like, look at the way. I'll give a perfect example. Look how Sterling runs. You know, he's got his arm. I don't run like that. You know, but it's true. Look how Haaland runs. It's like I don't run like that. Like, it's ridiculous that they even have a comment like that. It's like
someone got done for handball in one of the highlights I was watching. They were jumping up. Their arm wasn't there. It was about there, and it
was going to hit his chest anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the penalty was given.
Yeah, see,
just lunacy.
I think they should go back to. It'll solve a lot of problems. I don't know what year they changed it. You might know a bit better. Was, mate, if it hit your hand, it's a handball. Can't they just go back to that? Listen, people might not have liked it, but it was so much simpler. If it hit your hand, it doesn't matter where it is. If it obstructs the ball, it's a handball. No deliberate. No, your hand's not allowed to touch the ball because it's football.
Oh, one of them was a deflection.
Yeah,
from someone else a yard away.
Yeah.
And again, a penalty was given. Are you kidding me?
That's silly. I don't know what in your opinion fixes the handball rule.
I agree with you. You go back to the basics. If it hits the hand, it's handball. I don't care if it's accidental.
And then that way it's like, oh, okay. Well, that way it's sort of like offside. It's yes or no, because offside is not subject. It's you're either on or you're off. And if it's handball, that's the rule. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. If it touches hand, it's handball.
Yeah,
that's what I think. But how they can get so many VAR was meant to fix these decisions. That's what mind boggles me.
And it was one of the games I just saw the highlights for, the amount of shirt pulling in the box.
Yes, that one kills me too, the shirt pulling thing.
I mean, you're a forward. I never did that. I never did that as a defender because I just simply thought that was cheating. And I'm going to just out-jump the bugger by judging the flight of the ball. But surely that must piss you off.
Well, what annoys me about it is, because having it happen to me is, and people say, oh, it's a little tug. People don't realise that when you're trying to jump or running at pace, how much that little tug obstructs you.
That's all you need.
It obstructs you. It's like when you're going up as a striker, as a centre-back, if I'm pushing into you to try and win a header, and you just tap me in the back, because I'm off balance, it's going to make me go down. It's not that you've, gone through me with a hammer. It's physics, really. I mean, to all these flat earthers, it's physics. You know what I mean? It's when you're off, jumping or on one leg, a little touch or a little pull is huge because it's, a bit of power to weight ratio, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, they can, I don't know, is VAR fixed by putting ex-players in there, or do they stick with officials? What to end on? What do you think they do with VAR?
I think they limit it to two calls a half.
Well, I said that to you like cricket. Can't they give a team a review? In cricket they get 3 reviews or something.
Yep.
I like that.
So you decide. And then these players that start faking it will think they're onside. This is when they start getting found out.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think, listen, like I said, I don't know if it's do something like that, like you're saying, put some ex-players in the in the studio, whatever it is, something has to be done because, I mean, Howard Webb is coming out every week and apologising to a team about a refereeing error.
Yeah, so you don't do that.
That never used to happen.
You don't do that. You don't apologise. Referee's trying to make the best decision. One of the referees cost the team a goal because he got in the way.
That's right.
Interception. I can't remember which game that was.
Yeah, no, I saw it in the highlights. Yeah.
I thought he was totally in the way, and the other team went down the other end and scored because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these things, listen, they got to do something about it, but Chris says, beware Ange, GT. John says, thanks about the preemptive congratulations, and GT says, who's Ange? Yeah, whoa, who is he? But yeah, on that note...
Ask Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams knows who Ange is.
Yeah, he knows, GT. He'll sing a song for you. But yeah, on that note, guys, it's been a real good show. As I said, it was meant to be me, John, and Rob tonight, but for those reasons, John couldn't make it, so me and Rob pulled in. We had a good Rob's red card, I thought. Chris C says Uncle Ange. It's not Uncle Ange, it's Theo Ange, man. You got his your Theo. He's Greek. But yeah, so it was a good show. I mean, there was some huge results, like we said, Newcastle, some big games coming up this week. Like, talking of Ange, he's got a massive game. Like I said, I never thought I'd say it. Chelsea have got a massive game away at Fulham. It's, Aston Villa Brighton is going to be a great game.
And you know what? For all you tipsters, we'll see what happens with the League Cup to see what type of squads these teams put out.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, I would think City, surely he's going to put out some reserves, isn't he? Even though it's Newcastle. Newcastle are probably going to go for it because they want to try. They tried to win it last year, obviously. They want to try win
it. They can have it. We're sick of winging it.
We had it last year. I don't want it anymore. I agree. I don't want it
anymore. We want this one. We want this one, another one. See that?
Yeah.
We want another one.
I just want something. It's the first time in my life supporting Man United that I ever celebrated the Carabao Cup. So, well, Alex Ferguson, if he won it, I don't even think he knew he won it sometimes when he didn't used to care about it at all. So, but it's been a great show, guys. Thanks, Rob. Thanks everyone in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
And I'm sure if John's available, I think my brother was meant to come on tonight too. He wants to start coming on a few shows. George, he may come on next week, but we may have a few more of us on next week to talk about the games. But have a good week, guys. I think Chris and the boys are going to be live straight after this with their footy thing. They might even take you through a bit of the Brownlow medal, from what I'm told. And me and Chris will be back live tomorrow night, I believe. So thanks for coming in. Paul says Galinita, KP and Chris. Galinita, Paul. See ya. Thanks, guys.
See ya.